Hello, nerds, and welcome. We are crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co-hosts, Eric and Ryan. We have a special guest with us. I turned into Mike Tyson at the end of that sentence. We have a special guest with us tonight. You may have remembered him when we were talking about, I believe it was comic books. We got Jimmy Bones back to speak with us.
Jimmy Bones.
How you been, Jim?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just, starting a new job and about a month into that, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the new job. Well, this week's topic, we're changing gears. Last month was anime month. This month, we're talking about love in the Nerdverse. And not just how much Eric loves himself, or to bring up Pikachu.
I mean, it's a very valid statement, man.
Yeah.
Pikachu's the best.
Sure. Tonight we're going to be talking about nerdy date nights, and I want to open it up with, who is your nerd crush? Someone in the Nerdverse who you just want to hang out with. We'll start off with Ryan. Who you got, buddy?
All right, so nerd crush. You're not talking about like head over heels, heart throbbing. You're talking about like I want to hang out and play board games. I want to hang out and play video games. Kind of thing.
Like.
Okay. Man, there's a lot of good ones. I am going to go with Felicia Day on this one. She's super into basically all the same things that I am. Whole bunch of stuff with Legos and video games and Pokemon. So getting to hang out just for a day with Felicia Day would be awesome.
All right, Eric, who you got?
Dude, it's super difficult, but I'd probably have to go with Vince Vaughn, even though he's not super nerdy, just because it'd be a lot of fun to play D&D with him, and he does play now. So I think it'd be fun, like just to play some D&D with that dude, and maybe like Stephen Colbert, maybe Joe, get a whole table going. I don't know. I could be the nerdy guy that just sits there, mesmerized by talent.
All right, Bones, who you got?
That's a pretty hard one, but I think I have to go with Donald Glover because he's also a big comic book nerd.
I can see that. I can see that for you. You definitely have a good base to talk about for a long time. I am going to pick who I believe is the king of the nerds, and that, of course, is Henry Cavill.
Yep.
I would honestly, it would be super dope to just sit down and play some 40K on tabletop and talk with Henry Cavill about the lore, because he's also super big into the lore of Warhammer. So I think that'd be a super fun one to do.
See, I think the only real problem with choosing Henry Cavill, because there's a serious glaring issue in choosing Henry Cavill, and that's going to be time, because it's going to turn into one of those things that I don't want to just stay for a day, right? Like, I get a day or a weekend. Can we just kill a week playing some 40K and talking? Like,
depends on how many points, I mean, if you go with like a 10,000 point game, it could last a week. That's a reasonable fear.
Plays 40K? Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran plays 40K? I didn't know that.
Wild. That ginger always surprises me, man. He's just popping up everywhere.
So that's what we do, right? We'll get everybody together. We'll have a 40K tournament. We'll bring over Matt Mercer and just do a D&D game to kill a weekend. It'd be fantastic.
Henry Cavill's my hero, though, for the one live statement he made about like what he does for cardio, and then he like looks into the camera, and you just like what he was gonna say but couldn't say on live TV. I was like right there, most honest answer in Hollywood without giving it. I was like,
I don't know if.
What do you do for cardio? Drugs.
Yeah, do some drugs. That's definitely what he was talking about. Wink. No, so what about Carl Urban, actually? I know he's like very prolific nerd actor, but I don't know if he's like nerdy in real life.
Yeah, I don't know what like nerd hobby he has. The only other one I can think of that I know has like nerdy hobbies is, well, there's a handful actually now that I think about it, because you have Vin Diesel plays D&D. Like, he's a huge D&D player.
Y'all know Mila Kunis is also a big nerd? She used to be like a hardcore World of Warcraft player, and she is obsessed with like Star Trek. Like, she was like trying to get onto the Star Trek show, the reboot. She was like, I'll be happy to even just be like a background character.
That's fantastic. See, it's kind of cool they're all coming out of the woodwork now. That's awesome.
Well, that's like, look at how many like
Doesn't hurt her chances. Like Mila Kunis is also super hot. Like that is an attractive
like a 12. But like if you look at like how many people got to play stormtroopers and stuff that were super famous, but you didn't really see their faces.
Oh yeah,
like
Daniel
the scene
Craig
with Grogu.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was like
and then
Stormtrooper.
The one that punched Grogu on the speeder bike, that was someone super famous. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I do remember.
I can't remember who it was, though. I do remember.
But
that was probably one of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian, because that was a very accurate representation of how two soldiers would behave if they were just killing time and no command structure around them, where they were just shooting their pistols at the rock. I can testify that that is how lower enlisted would behave in that situation. You're talking about unlimited ammo, and you could just do the 100%, like 100% accurate.
The only thing I feel like though is we would have better accuracy than stormtroopers. But other than that, I feel like our lives would be like that.
Scene where he keeps missing. He's like, "There's something wrong with this," and he gives it like a little shake.
I thought you were talking about the meme where they actually get their vision checked, and then they can shoot because the original clone has bad vision, so all of them have it.
Corrective lenses in their stormtrooper helmets.
Just a little bit here. First off, I have two things to bring up. We are lamenting a lack of Clark this evening. We got news earlier today. She got pulled away for something pretty important. She's kind of buried in work right now. So we are missing Clark.
Financial forecasting for Bungie. I talked to her earlier today. She's very pleased with learning that information very last minute.
Sure, she's super stoked about that.
There was a lot of four-letter words that started with F and ended in K.
We are stoked to have Jimmy Bones here, special guest on the show, and it's going to be quite fortuitous to have his input on tonight's topic. But same as I do at the beginning of every episode, guys, I'm going to reach out for all of you that are listening, for anybody that enjoys listening to a bunch of nerdy people talking about nerdy stuff. I want to get you to interact with it. I want you to tweak the algorithm, to play with the glitches, to leave us on mute in the background, share us with your friends, whatever it is you do. Because all of that stuff that helps the algorithm really helps us out. It helps keep the lights on around here and keep doing this for you guys. So give us a like, give us a share, do all that fun algorithm stuff. And we will get to tonight's topic of love in the Nerdverse, specifically nerdy, geeky date nights.
Yeah, we're going to do it in like a little bit of a tiered thing. So we're going to do, cool first date ideas. When you're in a more established relationship, we're going to do date on a budget. And then finally, we are going to do what I like to call the blowout date, where money is not an option, time is not an issue, and you can pretty much just pick and choose whatever you want to do.
The date night nuclear option.
Yeah, that's how we're going to structure everything in that regard. So, who wants to lead us off?
So I actually have one. I want to bring it up, and primarily because it's not... I tried to spend a lot of energy on creative date night ideas, right? Ones that were kind of unusual or that people didn't really think of, especially whenever you're dating a nerd or a geek, or you're both kind of nerdy and that's how you met, because all of that kind of works into it, right? All of it kind of changes the way things go. And I think for my early date one, this one's good for like a first date, maybe a second date. But I think I'm going to call it I pretend that I'm okay, but deep down I miss Hastings. And that's going to be going to a bookstore. A lot of the bookstores, especially Barnes & Noble, or the ones that are Hastings styled, they got a little coffee shop in there, right? You can always go in and get you a cup of coffee. And then you just go shopping. Spend a couple hours talking with them, and you get some insight, because you get to see what they're interested in for books, what they're interested in for movies, music, kind of all of it. And it opens the door to have a really good exchange where both the people in the date buy an object or something for the other. I think it's a good, insightful first date.
You can also learn a lot about them in regards to whether or not they used to go to Hastings or Barnes & Noble or other bookstores and get the gaming magazines just to write down the codes in the back that they used to put in for certain video games without having to buy the magazine. Not saying I'm guilty of one of those things, but I also never bought a gaming magazine.
I never thought of that.
It was just so much fun.
Wasted so much time.
Wasn't PC Gamer one of them? I think I got PC Gamer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my first date idea, right? Like you take them to a bookstore. I mean, and maybe it kind of dates us at this point, but you take them to a Hastings, you get a cup of coffee, you get to walk around, look at a bunch of cool books. You get to determine if are they into novels? Are they into sci-fi? Are they into manga? Are they, what are they interested in? And it's really, it's a big kind of revelation experience, right? You learn a lot about each other. And by the end of the day, everything should be pretty smooth, pretty easy. There's no weird, awkward moments. There's no, I need an excuse to get out of this dinner kind of fare.
So
I think that's what I would do for my nerdy first date.
I was going to ask, is that your first date kind of thing?
Yeah, 100%. I think that would be my first date.
That's a solid pick. Again, it puts, doesn't blow the budget by any means. You can sit down, have a cup of coffee, chat. You can see what shared interests you have, what common books you may have to talk about, which is always good conversation topic. Eric, what do you got? You're in Canada, so I assume something with snow or hockey, right?
Yeah, that's
definitely
how it goes.
hockey. Hockey's an important one because I have to know that she's not a Toronto fan.
Go Flames, go Calgary Flames.
That's a very important one. You cannot, or Boston Bruins. You can't be a fan of either team.
Oh man, you're about to get heated with Bones, man. Black and gold till he's dead and cold.
Yeah,
so
right.
those are some important things that everybody needs to know. No, like I don't know, like dude, I'm so bad with like first dates. I don't know. I would usually it's dinner, man. Like honestly, like it's a casual like dinner thing to like get to know each other. And hockey teams, but like so that way we don't have any issues. Because I'm a very outspoken human being, so I'm not going to change what I do for anybody. So you might as well get to fucking know it quick, because that's just what it's going to be. And then I respect the fact if someone reciprocates that, because that's the way I'm going to be.
It's a real traditional first date, though, with just dinner.
It is, and it's super cheesy, but it's like you take your time, and you got to watch what you order. You don't order something crazy. So you can actually
kind of like. I like the hockey idea. It's a little bit more pricey, right? Like it's definitely not a budget or anything like that. But
and you
going
get to see how crazy she is with sports. That's a very important thing, because like
and
I'm crazy with sports.
Sports is definitely within the Nerdverse. It's definitely a geek fandom. I know that the NFL fandoms have a big convention coming up soon. Everybody's real excited about.
I think Taylor Swift's gonna be there.
I think Taylor Swift's gonna be there, some kind of guest speaker. But no, yeah, I think the hockey game's kind of a cool idea. I mean, and dinner, if you throw in dinner or do a traditional dinner, that's cool. There's nothing like wrong with that. It's very traditional. It's traditional for a reason.
Yeah. So, and it lets you figure it out. Like if you, I don't know, I like options on first time. Like you do dinner and hockey, or you can just do dinner, or you can just do hockey. It's very important.
My wife and I have gone to several hockey games as like a date night, and it's great. I learned that my wife has very little interest in learning anything about sports, but she really does like to cheer. So she's a big fan of shouting. The problem is she has a tendency to start cheering for the wrong team. I'm like, no, baby, we're green. We're the green team. Stars, remember stars. Green. Green good, other team bad. We gotta focus.
She is very German.
Yeah.
No,
oh god, I took her to a Rangers game, and she knows nothing about American baseball, and that was a fun date night because it was literally 9 innings of me explaining the entire game to her. And I'm not exactly an expert on baseball by any means. Like I have a rough understanding of what happened. But yeah, that was like, I forget who they were playing, but they hit just a line drive into outfield, and she was like, "Ooh, he did!" I'm like, "No, we're not cheering for them. Like we're blue here."
You got to wear a jersey and give her one of your extra jerseys. That's the real key. That way there's no confusion. It's like
she'll still cheer for the wrong team, man. You don't get it. Okay. When somebody does something good, she's just a cheer. She's just like, "Yay, everybody's trying real hard."
What you got, Bones?
Man, I'm a fan of the group date. So you get the person that you want to go on a date with. You get some of her friends, and I get some of my friends to go do like an escape room.
Solid.
So then you only get to see like how they perform under pressure. But you also get to know a little bit of their friends. Like, 'cause sometimes you just like you're dating somebody and then you're like, their friends are terrible people, and you're just like, I probably don't want to. I don't want to associate with you, to be honest. Right. So it gives you a little bit of both, and I think it's fun. I love escape rooms. So
I love that idea.
She is under pressure.
See, it's also going to give you a good idea on how they perform as teamwork goes, because there's some people that are not great.
Well, and it's one of those things that I think that lets you dodge a major bullet. Now, it's been a few moons since I've done any kind of like dating, but getting to know their friends, I think, is a really good idea. Because these are people, if you start dating someone, these are people you're going to be spending time around, whether you like it or not. And so...
You and your wife, you guys have been together since, like, junior high, right?
Yeah. We're coming up... Oh, shit, I got to do the math. Hold on. 17 years.
I was like, it's going to be a big number.
It's honestly a little bit lower than I thought, though.
Well, that's since we got married.
I was expecting. So, since you're married.
So
when did y'all started dating? Yeah, like in.
Yeah, we started dating in 03, April of 03.
Yeah,
so 21 years.
Yeah. Nice.
I graduated high school 2 months later.
And then that was the peak of Eric's education for anybody. That was the last time he read a book.
Whoa! I went to Ohio State and did 1 year. And got kicked out of a local diner for drinking too many, what do they call that? Orange juice and wine or whatever? Is it mimosas?
It's champagne and orange juice.
Champagne.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. Juice. When I discovered those, the devil, my friend. I started drinking before class.
That's what Eric saw.
No, I saw breakfast. I was eating breakfast. You have orange juice with breakfast. So you just spice up your orange juice a little bit. The problem was I woke up in my car at 3 o'clock asleep in the back seat. So orange juice and breakfast. Keep it orange.
Never happened to me.
I was like, now
that's never happened.
Not with mimosas. Like maybe with soju. Like.
Oh, let's not bring up soju.
Ohio State made me read books. Ooh. I did read there. That was the peak of my educational career. 1 year, one kind of.
All right, Travis. Actually. First date.
I have to go with Friday Night Magic.
Ooh, solid choice.
Pick up you can even pick up one of the dueling decks that they sell. Sit down, play cards with one another. Even if both of you don't know how to play, it's a fun experience. They have the little card that shows you the rules. Gives you a chance to chat in a pretty relaxed atmosphere. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people there, so you don't have to worry about it being awkward. Or if it goes poorly, you guys can start rotating through other opponents and then come back and meet up later at the date or, whatever.
Maybe she goes home with another nerd.
It could happen.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it'd be like that. If she does, it obviously wasn't the right one for you, which is what first dates are all about. It's like a job interview, but for a relationship. So it's kind of one of those nice things. You can sit down, you can see how competitive they are or not competitive, which was a blessing for me and my wife when we both picked up Magic the Gathering, because she's just like, time with husband, and I'm like, if you beat me, I'm going to be mad as hell and have to spend the next 4 hours retooling this deck so I never get defeated again.
So that's actually funny. I was going to bring up both with that one and some of the other date nights that are similar to what Bones was talking about with the escape room. Not the escape room itself, but similar. Competition at a date night is a weird kind of topic. I think the F&M is a great first date idea because it gets you a taste of how they handle that kind of stuff. I know I have some friends that the competitive nature of their potential partner caught them off guard. And so, not a bad thing to go.
I have no problem if somebody else is competitive. I've dated, before I met my wife, I've dated women that were highly competitive. And that's dope because I don't want anybody to let me win. And my wife, bless her, tries her best. But she loses focus in the middle of Magic games. So.
All right. Well, that is pretty cool. Let's go ahead. We'll shift gears here. So we talked about our first dates. Before we get into the next one, I think all 4 of those are pretty solid first dates. I want to encourage all of our listeners, if you had really good first date nerd ideas, or if you have any opinions on the first dates that we have proposed, let us know. Hit us up on Facebook, comment section, YouTube. And you never know, we might bring it up and discuss it in the next episode. But let's go ahead and step into, what do we want to do next? Budget? Or do we want to do deep relationship?
Let's do the budget. Let's do the budget option because I've got actually
dating on a budget
that are really nice.
Take us through the door, man. Go ahead.
I'm going to lead us off with like a either historical park or like a walking trail. We're blessed in the area where we're at to have a lot of those, where there's a little bit of history, and they've got the little plaques you can read, and it's just a fun, pleasant thing. You get to be outside, which is always nice, which makes it quieter. You get to have more, I call them at peace conversations, where it's just the two of you, and it's not ever going to cost an arm and a leg. You may have to pay for a state parks pass, and I think they're like $5. And then you just, you walk, you maybe take a little picnic or whatever, all of which can be done on a pretty tight budget. I mean, you can do this whole date for less than $20, and it's going to take you a few hours. Like, you can really spend an entire afternoon out with someone, get to know them, talk, enjoy nature, enjoy history.
That's actually a really cool idea, especially if it's a budget date for somebody else who's also in the Nerdverse, right? Because you could set it up as like Pokemon Go, for example. Go out and you're just going to walk around, do some trails on Pokemon Go, and you get the conversation. You get to check out some nature, some cool history stuff. I think that's a brilliant idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but me and Eric
like
could only do that like 6 months out of the year, so.
Yeah, being
True
outside.
Story.
Being outside in Denver is great during the summer, and it's not great during the dead of winter.
Yeah, we got a lot of nice beaches that are good for like a month and a half. I wanted to say maybe 2 months.
So Bones, I know, where you're set up, they kind of have this kind of stuff. Eric, I don't know if they have it in your hometown. What about, let's say wintertime, that kind of stuff. Do they still do the sleigh rides or the carriage rides, the horse-drawn stuff?
You can find it like in places like farms or something might do it around here. It just kind of depends. But yeah, you'll find it. Like you'll find it if you want it. Like it just won't be convenient for like depending on how your whole date plan goes.
Sledding could also be super fun as just an on-budget date. Just go to a hill, go sledding up and down.
Who can go down faster?
Who suffers the most egregious injuries?
What's your safety ratio between the amount of danger and distance to hospital? You can really learn what people's risk threshold is.
But no, actually, I do. I really like that idea, and it is a little seasonal, I suppose. Not great for like dead of winter, but
it's like I said, it's not bad where I'm at in Texas because we have like 3 weeks of winter, and then you get false spring, another week of winter, actual spring, summer, false fall, second summer, fall, third summer, winter, and then the cycle repeats.
Whatever.
Not bad. Bones, what you got on a budget?
Man, I was thinking about like I kind of got 2 ideas for a budget, and it's either going to be like camping, which is kind of like the same thing, right? Like, definitely that's like a later on in the relationship, not an early relationship thing, because you don't want to get stuck in the woods with some crazy person.
Yeah, it's the third date. You want to come out into the middle of nowhere where no one can hear you scream and stay there.
Yeah, I promise I'm not a serial killer, but how would you like to go to the woods with me?
So that's what I'm doing in the summer. It was too cold to go camping, though. I like to cook, and I have a lot of like nerdy cookbooks. So I think cooking a meal at home out of something like like the Fallout cookbook or something like that.
Yeah, the World of Warcraft cookbook or something.
I actually have the Hobbit cookbook.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, some of those recipes are really complicated. I'm like, oh, no try.
I have the.
Well, and I'm not gonna lie. I've had Bones.
It's just
cooking.
People.
That's a good date. Like I'm not.
It's actually
Bones could get some stuff out of me with good cooking. So
it's from the show Hannibal that Mads Mikkelsen was in, and
so good.
Everything that we've had out of there is so delicious.
There you go.
I
know. At my Monday D&D games, I have a couple of very they like to cook players, and so the D&D cookbook has been a big one for us. Dishes coming out of that, so I think that'd be a great date night, and it kind of scratches that traditional itch, right? Like I'm cooking for you. It's very, very traditional, very classic. You're just adding a little bit of nerd flavor to it. I like that.
You get to add dinner on the other side, right? So you also have dinner, like you sit and talk and eat.
That's a solid one. Yeah, is cooking for someone. That's a very I feel like that's an underappreciated gesture in American society to cook a meal for someone, because that's a big deal in certain cultures where you're preparing a meal for someone. That's a really big deal. and me being a big foodie, I always appreciate when people are willing to cook for me.
Oh yeah, well, and especially nowadays, because the only problem that comes up with cooking for your partner is the on a budget kind of side of things. You have to be really careful what you're trying to prepare, right?
Yeah, but
You start pulling
you
in
can make some amazing things
pancakes.
with
Oh no,
with
absolutely.
minimal dollars.
Well, and I like the fact that that he's bringing up the nerdy cookbooks, right? Because a lot of those have very budget friendly but very delicious meals in them. I think that's a fantastic idea. Eric, what you got for on a budget?
What's your budget date?
Real quick, there's a podcast, D&D, it's called. Really good. And they started doing cooking with their podcast because they do they always had like crazy meals that they talk about in the show. So they started making stuff too on top of it. And I think they did a cookbook too. I got pretty big into them during COVID, which is why I started podcasting.
Good shout out. New different podcast, D&D, worth checking out.
Yeah, and it's good. And they actually, that was the first nerdy cookbook I had ever heard of. I didn't hear about like the Hannibal Lecters or like the Tolkien or anything like that cookbooks at the time. I'm sure they were there. A date night on a budget? I don't know, dude. Like, there's another difficult one. So here we still have a drive-in. That probably wouldn't be too bad. On a budget.
Okay, classic.
We definitely ran that as a budget with growing up in Artesia, because there was a drive-in theater not far from us that we used to go to, and you paid by the vehicle. So the objective was to fit as many people into that car as you possibly could. Be like, I think we got like 9 people into Ryan's Geo Metro one day, which was a very tight
I think it was
squeeze.
close to that.
Yeah. Well, I think the straw that broke the camel's back on that one is that we invited Big Rob, and he was our starting center for the football team. So he's not a small man by any means, and he took up most of the back seat. So I'm pretty sure I was holding like Bones and your stepbrother in my lap at that point.
I know we got a bunch of them. Were you with us? I think it was you when we did I think it was in the Purple People Eater. We piled everybody into the back with the cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeep. Yeah.
Well,
so we got made fun of because I had to prop the back of my Jeep open with a stick because the hydraulic was broken.
But that's good because you usually get a couple movies. It's not just one. Traditionally, like the food isn't outrageous like a movie theater. I don't know why.
But you can also
it's not a bad thing.
Talk a little bit during the movie because you're in your own car. It's not like talking in a theater, which is very rude, which is a surefire way to make me very angry. I hate people that talk in the theater.
Yeah, it's one of my pet peeves, actually.
Not a great first date, by the way.
Movies are not a great first date.
Movies are out for
That's
first
a
date.
terrible first date.
Here's the only thing
you
want to do is if the make or break is going to be, did they talk during the movie, right? I would save an actual, like, let's go see a movie. I mean, you're talking, at least 4th date level.
Yeah, I need to know somebody for a couple of weeks before I'm willing to go to the movies with them. Just because, one, it's like $20 a ticket now, and then like $80 for food.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So, that's definitely down the road for me. Not to mention the fact that, like, first dates, especially as a single person, you're going to be going on numerous ones, right? Like, you can't be spending $100 a date on first dates. That's why I was such a big fan of like going for a walk in the park, getting coffee, something budget friendly where I can actually sit down and speak to a person. I took a lot of women on a first date to Pike's Market when I was stationed in Washington, because you can walk around, you can check out the little shops, you can find out what they're into because they're going to be drawn towards specific stores, and then it's just nice to talk. You can just walk and talk. So
no first dates at the barracks when you were in? No.
Bro.
But see, that was always
people that brought women to the barracks on a first date were psychos. Like,
but they were also kind of smart, because if she didn't know where it was, then you knew she was cool. Now, if she could tell you like where your barracks was on your way there, you were like, not a good sign. Because there was a few. It's like,
bunny.
Yeah, it's like, I live in building 400, and you start driving there, and she's like, why'd you go that way? It's faster. And it's like, all right, let's
take you back
around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as budget goes,
red flag.
My budget date actually lands in the same place that Bones' kind of first date lands. Not with the escape room, but as a group date idea, right? And that's where I like to do an unplugged date night for especially the geek and nerd side of stuff, and do board games. Open up a couple of board games, or one kind of a big one, get some friends over, turn it into a thing. Because if I'm going to do date night on a budget, it's going to fall into one of two categories. If I'm wanting to talk and actually have an enjoyable time, get to know a little bit about them, I'm going to go board games. And it can go as simple as you want or as complex as you want, depending on what you already know about the person. Because I can have just as much fun playing Phase 10 or Uno as I can busting out a game of Scythe or even like Talisman or something like that. What you got, Travis?
I feel like if you really want to look into somebody's soul and find out who they truly are as a person with a board game, it's got to be Cards Against Humanity.
Oh man. So I'm not a huge fan of games like that because I think it falls into a crowd mentality. Don't get me wrong, I've done it, and especially with Cards Against Humanity, I think it's hilarious, and it can be a really good time. But as far as getting to know them, I think it falls into they're going to pick the ones that starts getting the biggest reactions out of the group you're with, right? And so it becomes kind of a herd mentality. Is it a bad date night idea? No, of course not. In fact, if you do it right, it might either prove that they're awesome or scare them off. But I think board games is a really good one.
You learn a lot about people's sense of humor with Cards Against Humanity, though.
You got to play video games too. That's a good one. I can't do that though as a first date because I'm too competitive and I'm not going to let anybody win. So, but like Super Smash Brothers, it's great to like play.
That's actually a really good idea, especially something like Mario Party might be a good kind of budget date night.
It's like a hybrid between board game, video game.
Yeah,
and I only bring those up because like you could do them if you don't want a whole bunch of people around. You can also I think you can be a little more relaxed, like on the couch, like messing around. Or then you can, if you want to play online, you can, like, to get extra people involved that you don't know, and you can both shit talk them while you play together and see if they're truly competitive.
You can both be toxic. That's great.
Yes,
you should bond over being shitty people. That's great. That's
exactly.
Great.
See, trauma bonding.
I will say, I do have a backup if you don't want to do a group date, right? Like, there's a lot of people that do not like doing the group date ideas. They don't want them to know their friends. Not all of us can bring a first date around ugly kind of thing.
You're gonna learn a lot about that person. You're gonna learn a lot about that person. I have no problem bringing people I just met around ugly. He's a good dude.
But I do that just mostly because it's an ongoing joke in the group.
It's the running gag.
Ugly's a good guy. But I do think there's some credit, and this is not first date, right? This is budget date. And so I'm thinking you've been in a relationship for a couple months, that kind of thing. You do a movie marathon night, but not normal. Now you can, we're going to watch all 3 extended editions Lord of the Rings and really test their fortitude. What I'm thinking is you start playing.
That's not a night, man. That's an all-nighter.
No, you play movie ping pong, right? And so I'm going to serve a movie, and I'm going to pick one movie that's important to me for whatever reason. Have them do the same thing. They pick a movie, no matter what it is, any genre that's important to them, and you can talk about why. I actually got this idea from. I have a group of friends that hang out with me pretty frequently, and that's what we do is we watch movies. And we got to a point where we choose a theme, right? Whether it's, Nick the Cage or disaster movies or whatever. Everybody picks one. We put all the ideas into a hat. We draw one out and we watch it. And one of the first ones we ever had that I really fell in love with was, what's your comfort movie? What's the movie you watch when you're sick or when you're sad or whatever?
Die Hard.
And the revelation behind what they picked and why was huge and awesome to me. And I think that could be a really fun on a budget date night where it's like, hey, you pick a movie that's important to you. Let's talk about why and let's watch it.
On the time constraints around, I don't need to know why, but I have to know what movie you would pick, Ryan. For that date,
the date night?
Yeah, like a movie that's important to you.
Probably T2.
That's a reasonable.
Respectable.
That falls in line. That falls in line.
Yeah.
Well, I missed it for a second. What movie did you say?
Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Oh.
Reason being is because it's a very personal movie for me. It's got a lot of story to it that I can talk about at the date. It's a little revelatory, and it's an amazing movie that I could watch over and over again.
A lot of first time special effects used for that as well, specifically with the living metal.
Definitely the best Terminator
absolutely.
movie.
Oh, yeah. By far, like 100%. You weren't a big fan of like Genesis or whatever, where it was like you're the progenitor of the human race, like in the future. That was such a weird.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Terminator movies, they're a roller coaster. It's fine.
Yeah.
No fandom likes every movie that they have. The Terminator fandom just happens to like one.
I like all the Star Wars movies.
No, the first Terminator is actually a good movie too. It's just not as good.
Yeah, the first one's a
Terminator
good one too. It's just not as good as the second. The second one's amazing. Huh. Okay, so you'd go with T2. Let's go round table. What movie would you pick, Bones?
Oh god. Fight Club.
Put you on the
put
spot.
Bones on the spot.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
Cult of Personality movie.
It's a great movie.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I've watched it. So when I was in college, first time before I joined the Navy, I watched it like daily, probably like just on repeat in my room, like doing like homework or not doing homework and just drinking or something.
As it were.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason I joined the Navy.
So
it reminds me of that time a little bit. And then also I think it's an interesting movie to see how somebody what their take on the movie is.
Yeah, their interpretation.
Yeah.
The scene where he says, "I wanted to destroy something beautiful" is probably my favorite in the whole movie. Everybody always quotes the first rule of Fight Club scene, but my favorite is still when he was like, "I wanted to destroy something beautiful," and he walks off after just absolutely pummeling that dude, which is like I think a key point of like his psyche too, which is the point of the whole story.
Dude, the best part of that movie was the very end when they go back over everything and you see that it's just him, not Brad Pitt, doing all that stuff again. Dude, that was such a revelation, like the first time you watch it, and it was so, it was so amazing. They worked well together, I think.
Eric, you are going on a Die Hard. Solid choice.
Of course it was. Of course it was Die Hard.
It's a love story. It's a guy trying to get his wife back by killing
story,
terrorists.
Action Christmas movie.
Yeah, Christmas, it's everything.
All,
you got it every time of the year. You can watch it on Valentine's Day. You can watch it on Christmas. You know, it just hits all the spots. So definitely, and actually, it is just a good movie. There's a lot of cheesy things in it. It's funny.
I actually think it is a really good movie. It's turned into a meme nowadays, which I find humorous. I think my favorite part about it is it's not a Christmas movie. It's a bunch of people crawling through ducts and running around a tower trying to escape Alan Rickman. So it's actually a Harry Potter movie. And
I like the whole leave cigarettes and stuff in the duct for John McClane for Christmas morning. I think that's great.
It's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from the tower.
Yeah,
that is a fact.
Falls off the top of
Everybody
Nakatomi
always forgets
Plaza.
the love story part of it, where he's trying to get his wife back.
Oh yeah,
sure.
That's the true basis of the entire movie.
Yeah, that was the plot of the whole film.
I unironically really enjoy Die Hard, and I know it's a meme and everybody has their opinions about it right now. But I think it's a great movie. We watch it every year at Christmas time just to piss off all the people that say it's not a Christmas movie. But I really could. I could watch that whenever. Here's my thing. I have one base rule for anybody, and it's if a movie plays Christmas music unironically at Christmas, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon, the first Lethal Weapon, also a Christmas movie, in case you guys were curious.
100%.
It was 100% a Christmas. There's even a scene with Christmas trees. Like,
dude, Die Hard is based around killing terrorists during a Christmas party. Like, what else do you need? Like, I'm not even understanding.
It's also a good warning not to attend holiday Christmas parties for your company.
Travis, what you got?
Oh, easy. Tombstone.
Oh, great choice.
So good.
Great choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 3 of my most favorite actors of all time in Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, and I'm suddenly drawing a blank on his name. Oh, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, played Ego.
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, man. He was also in Stargate, which is another fun nerd movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, and Val Kilmer, all of which were amazing. It also has several other. It's got Michael Rooker in it, who you may also know as. Good night. Good night, kids.
Eric.
Oh, sorry. Got unmuted.
Turn yourself off mute to tell your kids good night.
Oops.
Good night, Eric's kids. But yeah, so it's got Michael Rooker, who played Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. So lot of like other nerdy actors, some crossover
Yeah, very
there.
nerdy actors. Actually.
Except for like Sam Elliott, I don't think I recall him being in any sci-fi movies. He was in The Big Lebowski, which is a big nerd favorite.
He's in Ghost Rider.
Is a phenomenal movie.
Oh, that's right. He was in Ghost Rider.
He had that scene.
I had suppressed that memory.
That's because it's an awful
really
movie.
Great of a movie. So.
Hey.
The first one was okay. The second one was very bad.
It was
terrible.
The first one was aggressively average, and the
next
one
I'll take it.
was absolutely garbage.
No, dude, that movie was
I'll settle for average. The second one was, in fact, just a straight dumpster fire with no fire.
Yeah.
Is it Norman Reedus? I think that's how you say his name.
Was in
he
Walking
should
Dead.
play. Yeah, he should play Ghost Rider. Him or Keanu Reeves.
I think they're too old, man.
I don't want Keanu Reeves.
Here's the thing: if you're gonna do a Johnny Blaze story with Ghost Rider, he has to be young. And
yeah.
so while I think that Norman Reedus or Keanu Reeves would kick serious ass with that, they're too old to do it right now.
I don't think you need to do a new intro to Ghost Rider. I think you could just throw him in there, like an out of nowhere character, and just add him to the storyline and just let it ride. So I think you could use an older character that's already been around for a while and just throw him into the mix. Like, we don't need a lot of intro movies for a lot of these characters anymore. I think people are kind of like to the point where you could just move on.
I think Keanu Reeves is a terrible choice for Ghost Rider because let's be honest, he's not a very good actor. And Ghost Rider doesn't do a lot of like hand-to-hand combat.
No.
Like Keanu Reeves is the greatest physical actor probably of our generation. Like he's so good at it. That's what makes the John Wick. But like he's not acting. He's just beating people up, which is phenomenal. He's great at it.
I loved him in Constantine.
Point Break was really good, I thought.
He has a few good moments, but let's be honest.
He is a very physical actor.
You can definitely draw those performances out of him, but consistently speaking, he's more of a physical actor than he is like an actual actor.
He is.
I'm gonna have to side with Bones on that one. He's very wooden in a lot of performances, and you definitely want someone that's a very emotive.
Nobody picked a rom-com. Anybody realize that? Nobody picked a rom-com?
But it's for nerdy dates, right? And
I can guarantee you Clark wouldn't have picked one either.
Come on,
solid money.
Anime.
Clark's picking some anime that's... It's that time I was reincarnated as a vending machine, the movie.
Dude, hey, don't you be putting down Vendikun, man. We're gonna have a scrap. I absolutely love that series. It's the best dumb isekai I think I've ever watched.
Okay, so what's one thing you can't forgive? Like,
like a nerd thing?
I can deal with if someone's a Toronto or a Bruins fan as much as I don't want to, but if they're decent enough as a human, I could. But what's like one, like, I don't know if I could ever date someone that didn't like anime. You have to be next to
sainthood if you're a Toronto fan.
Yeah, like, no, you
okay, so what's
you gotta be like Scarlett Johansson. But like on a for real note, like, what's one thing, like, I couldn't date someone that doesn't like anime. Like, if she truly just did not enjoy anime or sports, to be honest.
So a nerd red flag.
Like, but anime is like one thing. Like, if she couldn't sit down and like enjoy anime with me, there'd just be no point. Because I thoroughly, like, I really enjoy anime. It's not that I need to watch it every day, but if I want to sit down and like watch anime, it's usually like an hour or two. It's not something small. So like, she'd have to be, and I wouldn't want to only do it when she's not around because I want her to enjoy at least something. So
go ahead, Ryan. What do you
Ryan?
Me?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a few red flags that would definitely cause pause, I think, for me. But a big one is going to be movies. Because there's a lot of people I've met that are just like, I don't watch movies, I prefer television shows, or I only watch Netflix or whatever. And if they don't enjoy movies, like, fine, more power to you. But the downside about that is that's how I spend a lot of my time. And that's how I like to spend a lot of my free time and what I like to share with other people. And I can deal with it if, she doesn't play D&D or she doesn't read comic books or whatever. But if it's movies are a veto, I don't know. I think that would be a deal breaker for me.
My big deal breaker would be doesn't read.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like Cantor just doesn't.
Like just chooses not to. Those people who's like, I find no joy or enrichment from reading.
Yeah, from reading a book.
That's out for me. Like, just immediately. That's just a huge, big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like probably the most chill person as far as like what another person likes or doesn't like. The only like way that would be like a deal breaker for me is if they like belittle even like nerdy hobbies in general. Like not even just my hobbies, but like if they're talking like belittling somebody else's hobby, if something I don't enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm
Why
not,
do you still
for
play
it.
D&D? Like, you're nearly 40.
Yeah, I'm not for it. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I think
No.
that. I think I
mean, that's just a toxic
heavily
red
on that
flag
one.
in general. I think like that's just one of those. That's clearly an indicator that they're a toxic person, Eric.
See, I think I'm with that. It's just it shows a lack of respect, not a lack of respect, but an actual. I'm going to spend my energy making you feel bad about the things you like.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I don't mean like just like a little shit talking, because I'll talk shit about people who like My Little Pony, whatever. But I'm not like seriously like okay, yeah, that's fine. You can like My Little Pony.
Yeah,
I don't actually care. I'm just talking a little shit, little poking a little fun at you.
I am gonna, yeah.
A little, yeah. Like you're not being actually disparaging towards their hobbies. You're just like, I'm gonna tease you about it, but it's all in good fun, or make jokes about it, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah, I expect to get
reasonable,
teased,
but
so I'm gonna tease you too.
Yeah, and in fact, even thinking about my answer, I can deal with it if they're not going out of their way to stop me from doing it, right? Or if they're not making me feel bad or guilty or self-conscious about the fact that I want to watch my anime or I want to watch my movies, because you can self-entertain, you can separately like co-play, right? But if they're sitting there giving me shit about why do you play D&D every week, you're a grown man, or why do you play with Legos, you're a grown man, why do you have toys on the shelf? Yeah, I think that's an instant out for me.
That's a big out. Like Travis said, that's a big toxic. But like, I don't know, man. Like I couldn't do it. Like if she doesn't like anime, dude, it's just we'll have to go.
I feel you.
Like it's just because if you're really passionate about something, like you would want your significant because supposedly you're planning for years or decades
my wife
or something.
Has passions that I have absolutely no interest in. Like we have hobbies that do not intersect. She has zero interest in anything I have to say about Warhammer, and I have a lot to say about Warhammer. And sometimes I hold her verbally hostage with Warhammer conversations. And bless her, she loves me anyway. What's up, Bones?
Yeah. Like so, me and my wife have I would say like a relatively little overlap on our hobbies. She's always willing to try things that I like, even if she doesn't like it. But it's fine. Like she doesn't really like play D&D. Like she had a good time, but it's not like her thing. It's just a lot that I'm like. But we always like talk to each other about our hobbies, and the other one always listens. Like whatever, I'll listen to you ramble about some stuff.
I'm actually with you on that one. I've been married to my wife for 17 years. We have very little crossover. We have very little in common in that kind of stuff. But we both will listen to each other talk about
board game players.
Yeah, I mean we do play board games. That's true. So maybe you're right about that. But we also, even more than what Bones was saying, we make efforts to include one another, at least to try it out. My wife is a huge fan of the Survivor TV show. I'm not, but I don't hate it enough where I make her turn it off. Like if I'm in the living room, right? Like I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna give it a shot. And when I decided it really wasn't my thing, she didn't get her feelings hurt when I went to go play video games while she was watching it. And so, yeah, I think that's a good stance.
My wife and I have an agreement with TV shows. If we watch something that I'm just not super into, it becomes one of the ones where, like, yeah, you can skip ahead, and if I decide to rewatch it later, that's fine. We also have ones that are hardcore, like you don't get to go, like we were watching this together. And then she has some that I'll turn on, and I'm just like, and like I'm super into it. And she was just like, have fun binge watching this TV show. I'm gonna go read.
Yeah.
So we have some of those crossovers where like, our interests intersect in regards to film, but then we have some stuff where she's just like, I don't know watching this.
Eric's excited.
Okay, so I got another good one. I got to write some notes so I remember all this stuff. So what's one
Eric's
thing
still
about
shopping for Girlfriend 2.0?
No, I'm building an application and I'm just gonna put it out on Facebook. I'm done.
Facebook dating.
Yeah.
The Facebook ads.
So everyone's got to name something that what's your red flag? Everyone's got one. Like, what's your red flag?
What's my red flag?
Your red flag when a girl looks at you and you have that one trait. No one ever talks about this. Everybody always talks about what is that one? And you can even, like, obviously it could be something you're improving on or you're not. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not here to judge. That's not what we do.
Given the nature of the podcast, I'm gonna try to keep it within the Nerdverse here.
Oh yeah, we're not trying. Yeah, no PhD stuff here, folks. We're just.
Okay, I do have one. It's difficult because it is a red flag. I can acknowledge it as a red flag, but it's not. I don't know. I have terrible time management, and what I mean by that is I can sit and watch 5 movies in a row. I can play D&D for 14 hours. I love playing board games. That I can play board games for 10 hours straight and forget to eat and forget the rest of the world exists, and it can be a serious detriment for things.
Be 2.5 hours late to a road trip because you were watching a TV.
Because I was watching the TV. Yeah, that's I have terrible time management. And while that, I don't know if that would become apparent to like first date, it's definitely something they would realize by the end of the first couple months, and that's kind of a problem for a lot of people.
I could say, if you need to leave someplace by like 10 o'clock with Ryan, let him know you have to leave at 8, and then you guys will be out the door at 10, no problem.
Well, and it manifests a lot as far as like late night hours, right? Because my wife goes to work at 5 a.m. and there are so many times where I don't realize she's tired or has lost interest in the board game or the TV show, and it's encroaching on midnight, and she's looking at me like I'm the devil, and it's like I didn't know. I'm sorry.
All right, Travis, what do you got?
I am very competitive, and that could be a pretty big problem on first dates, especially if you're doing something that has any type of competition in nature. So I learned in dating, you gotta ease them into it, but I don't like second place. I also don't like people letting me win either. That makes me even more mad than losing. Like, I hate people when they let me just walk one in. I'm like, nah, dog. Like, make me earn it at least. So yeah, my red flag is a pretty competitive.
What's up, Bones? I don't know you that well, so I'll be curious about this one.
Probably I'd say like I could be a little bit impatient with people that are new to a thing. That's something I've had to work on a lot, but like say trying to teach somebody how to play Magic or something like that. I could be a little bit impatient with them and get a little bit aggravated when they're not like understanding things immediately.
A little unforgiving if they're not fast on the pickup. That's
all right.
fair.
Eric, what about
Toxic.
you? Let's limit it to
toxic.
one.
Yeah. So I have 2 really bad ones. Mine is, it's not so much toxic. It is the super competitiveness. Like I am. I just always have been. Like I've gotten into full out like arguments with other people because I'm not losing.
This is
like,
my surprise
and I'm
face.
also not letting you win. Why can't I win sometimes? Because you're not good at it. Like this isn't my fault. Like practice and get better. Like the PlayStation is here all day. Like it's not going anywhere. Just jump on. And then I probably lack affection is probably my biggest thing, which is probably due to my toxic traits. So those are my 2 big things.
All right, to get us back on
let's
track.
get back on track here.
So we did our date on a budget. We did our intro date. What do you guys got for long established, for somebody you've been in a relationship for a while? And I'll lead us off on this one because I've got a good one, and that's interactive museums. So it's super fun. It's definitely oriented towards group activity. So having a partner there with you makes those interactive museums more fun because then you basically just run around, you get to nerd out, maybe learn a thing or two. Even if you go to some of the ones that are like more simplified, they don't have a whole bunch of advanced stuff. Just getting to interact with like exhibits and stuff like that is pretty amazing. The Perot Museum here in Dallas is a fantastic one. If anybody is in the Metroplex, they have so many super fun interactive exhibits. They've got like a little science lab that you can go to. They've got a paleontology lab where you can literally look in a window and see them removing fossils from rock formations, which is super cool. They've got like they've got a tornado machine. They've got a like an earthquake deal where you stand on a little pad and it shows you like how much movement actually happens to get something to register on the Richter scale. Different things like that. They've got the evolution of human grip, which was a really cool exhibit. I don't know if that one's still up, but basically it showed you like how our hands have evolved to grasp things, which is way different than 90% of mammals out there. So yeah, mine's interactive museum. It's super fun. It's not going to blow the budget, and you get to spend quality time with someone.
I think that's a fantastic one, and I'm a big fan of things like museums for date nights. It's a shame that it doesn't come up on too many people's radar anymore. And
I love museums.
I think, oh, me too.
My toxic trait is that I cannot get out of a museum fast. If you take me to a museum, I'm reading everything.
Well, and that's one thing me and my wife do pretty consistently is we do things like the aquarium, the botanical gardens, the museums, and it was one of the first things I took my children to do once they were old enough to actually enjoy it. And
aquarium's gonna get me in trouble because I'm gonna leave with with an otter one day. I'm just gonna be like, all right, into the backpack, bro. We're leaving.
Into the backpack.
Yeah, you're a swimming ferret. Get in this bag.
So as far as established relationship, this one's not exactly budget friendly. It's not blowout. It's not the dating nuclear option, but Ren fairs and conventions, I think, is amazing. You plan a weekend. You're going to do 2 days at the Ren Fair. You're going to do Comic-Con. And bonus points if you and your significant other can actually do like costumes or full-on cosplay stuff as a group, because having a group cosplay is a rare kind of treat. And I think that is an amazing date idea, especially for two nerds that are dating.
Good budget-friendly cosplay idea if you're going to go to the Ren Fair and you don't want to dress period appropriate. You can get Star Trek uniforms for fairly cheap, and it tracks for Star Trek because there's a bunch of time travel and stuff and all of their things. So just walk around and look confused with your little like tricorder, and then you're set.
You're good.
Yeah, you're golden. Don't wear a red shirt for Christ's sake. Safety first. What do you got, Bones?
All right.
For an established date, also, I also thought of a red flag that there is something that I can't deal with. If somebody doesn't like to try new foods, that's a deal breaker for me. Absolutely. And so I think that's also my like kind of my established date kind of thing is just finding something new to like either go eat or like a little pop-up bar or speakeasy or just something like that. Like just get out there and try something new and exciting for an evening.
I think that's actually an excellent idea, especially with I didn't think about the speakeasies and that kind of stuff. One of the first conventions I ever went to, I don't remember if you were with us or not, Bones. You might have been. I think Travis was with us. But they had a speakeasy set up for kind of an after party that we went and checked out, and they had it done up super cheesy, right? We had to go up, knock on the door, give the password. We walked through this kitchen to get to this back room, and it was an old school style speakeasy, and it was fantastic. Doing something like a pop-up bar would be a great idea.
There's one speakeasy in Denver.
Yeah, there's a bunch actually. There's like 4 here, but there's one in Guangzhou in China that we went to. That is actually it's like one of the top 50 bars in the world. Didn't know that. We just like, oh, let's find something to do for I think New Year's, like a couple trips back when we went. And it's in it looks like a little 7-Eleven style like snack shop. And you go by and you like pull one of the whole shelves out. It's got a little knocker. It pulls out. It's a jazz bar.
That's fantastic.
It's called Hope and Sesame.
Nice. A pun and a jazz bar. I mean, dog. Next thing you're gonna tell me there's dueling pianos, and I'm just gonna move in.
That is the greatest thing bars ever started doing. Dueling pianos. Absolute fucking genius idea. I don't know why it didn't start when I was younger.
I have a second fun one for established relationship. And this is going to be for a particular type of people, but nerdy tattoo trip.
Oh, yeah.
I have a comic book tattoo on my arm. For those of you that don't know, I got the traditional 40s Captain America shield. I also have the Punisher skull on it because I'm a huge Frank Castle fan. But yeah, I mean, nerdy tattoos, it's definitely going to be an established relationship thing, and it has to be the right people. That's obviously not something you want to do on a first date unless you guys are both super into tattoos.
I'd do it.
So I mean, could be. That would be a wild first date, though.
That would be
going
a wild
and getting
first
a comic
date.
tattoo.
That's it. You know if it's going to work or not right away.
Right.
I actually
you'd be like, comic tattoo. I got Bugs Bunny already, and be like, you're out.
See, and that works. A lot of the tattoo conventions, they'll do stuff like $50 flash and that kind of thing. And especially if you can get some nerd tattoos, that would be super cool.
That would be
and
dope.
I like how
That'd be a fun
a
one.
lot of the Nerdverse stuff is starting to pop up in these things that are like traditional days, right? Bones brought up pop-up bars a minute ago. Bones, it wasn't too long ago you were showing us you actually attended a Tim Burton themed pop-up bar. And that's
it was also a speakeasy kind of setup too. It was in like a little mall where you couldn't like see anything inside of it, and you just like walk in and they're like, oh, go back there, and it was like all kinds of decorations from like Beetlejuice and Nightmare Before Christmas, all kinds of stuff like that.
There was a really fun one, not a pop-up bar, but actually like a pop-up themed tea shop that rolled through Dallas, and it was Alice in Wonderland themed, and all I could think of when that advertisement popped up was like, oh god, Ryan would be shitting kittens to get out here.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, you actually like walk the entranceway into it was like the Cheshire Cat's like big smiling grin. You walked in, like the teeth folded out so you could get in.
Oh, I'd do that in a heartbeat. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it was also fairly pricey, so it was definitely something you wanted to do with an established relationship because it was about $75 a person. So,
all right, Eric, established relationship.
I don't.
You got nothing?
Laser tag. You work together to take out the other little kids on the other team.
No, okay. I got something.
That's how I look at it. I
Eric's
learned
like
that
Little League football.
I'm just thinking about like How I Met Your Mother, like laser tag.
Laser tag's not a bad date night idea.
And if not that, I'd probably do like a planned convention. So like planning ahead of time, like to attend a convention together. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And probably for me, I don't know about how any of you feel about it, but a long-term, like my first like long-term one that's serious, like I think these days are considered, would probably also incorporate my kids. Because they have to all get along. So it would definitely have to be something I would incorporate. So that's why I'm saying like laser tag and stuff like that. Or like a convention because my kids enjoyed the one we went to here. So this would probably be the time that I would incorporate them meeting for the first time. Well, hanging out long trip thing for the first time.
All right, I think Bones was on the draw.
Yeah, as far as laser tag goes, it's a great time. But my friend Tim, who I think Ryan and Travis used at the wedding, so y'all met him. But he taught me how to play laser tag properly. All right, you got to get a group of the little kids to be like your minions, and they'll be super like if he I don't know man, like he just did it. They were like we used to go like pretty regular, but they were just like a little group of kids, and they were like super loyal to him and like defending him. Like that's a genius plan.
That's the way to do it right there.
Shield me from the enemy. There's a bunch of little kids going, look out, sir. They're just taking the knife.
I could just see that now.
So one that is played outdoors, which to me is more fun for laser tag, is actually the dodgeball style bow and arrow game. If you guys haven't played that, you get to see the competitive side. It's super fun. Nobody's going to get hurt because it's these big foam tipped, like really lightweight plastic arrows, and they give you a really terrible bow. Like you're not launching any of those things very fast. But it was super fun to play. I played as an adult, actually during a team building thing for our company. Super fun to just go out there and run around and be a wild heathen. So also it'd be a fun one in that vein, Eric.
All right, so a quick way to last thing for this episode. I'll do some shout outs at the very end though. But one thing I want to talk about is
we didn't get to do our nuclear option.
Oh, sorry. VR dating.
Oh, VR dating.
Is anybody remotely... No one needs to go in depth because I forgot we got one more thing you wanted to do. VR dating. Would you do it? Yes or no? I'm a no, just because it's too new for me, and I've messed with a headset enough, and I can't play it for a super long time, like on one. So if I did do one, it'd be like 20 minutes. So I don't know if I could do it right now. But there's a lot of stuff and interest coming up, and that's a big nerd department there, the VR.
That
thing.
is a huge nerd department. I don't know that would be a deal breaker for me. The unfortunate thing is that when I was dating, none of this was around. Like, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I've been married long enough.
Ryan didn't even have a flip phone. Ryan was still calling his collect from the nearest payphone and just shouting his message as fast as he could. 13 to Maine, pick me up as fast as you can. Click.
But I don't think it would be a deal breaker for me. A lot of people are using things like dating apps and technology to date, and VR dating is a safe environment for a lot of people. And especially, at least for the early dates, I think it serves the purpose. You get to talk to them, you learn something about them, and if it's working, then fantastic. And eventually, when you meet in real life, if there's no surprises, everything worked out great. And yeah, I'd give it a shot, I think.
I think, I'm going to have to agree to an extent. I think for meeting people and starting a conversation, it's great. I'm not going to do a first date via VR because I want to, I say physically interact, but I want to be in person. I'm a big personal connection person. Like, I need to be present. I need them to be present in order to get, a real feeling and understanding of the person, because who you are online, even if you're as honest as can be, is still not who you are. Your online profile is never who you are as a person. So it's kind of one of those things where, how disassociated from that online persona are you in a VR situation as opposed to real life? So
yeah, I'm 100% into it. I'm like, I love VR. I love playing the VR games, and you could do all kinds of stuff. So you could play board games. You could do nerdy stuff. Whatever. Or and there's also just there's literal VR hangout things. So
cool. Yeah, one-click cosplays. Yeah.
You could go on an epic quest for it. That's dope. I get that, but again, for a first date thing, I think I'd want to meet somebody.
Nah,
face to face.
I think I'd be okay with that for a first date. Even the first few dates, right? You get a couple months in, you feel like you know this person really well, and you're finally going to meet. And I mean, yeah, it's not a concern I have to worry about, in real life. But
man,
yeah, as three of the four of us are married.
So I think that's a really interesting topic. We might
that
cover
wasn't
VR.
Throwing any shade at you, Eric. You're unmarried, man. It's not a call out.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I was just saying, if I wanted to be shit, I'd just be like, yeah, there's three people that are married, and then Eric, who's going to die alone.
Yeah.
Never alone. I got my VR.
Yeah, you got the VR. Let's do nuclear options.
Yeah, let's go through this fast.
Here's the premise. This is no holds barred. You have all the time, all the money, all the everything in the whole world. What's your ultimate date? Travis, open us up.
All right. It's going to be a trip to New Zealand. We're going to stay in a Hobbit-themed Lord of the Rings, basically bed and breakfast, where you get your own little, Hobbit hole cabin that you stay in. From there, we would be going to the filming locations that they did in New Zealand for the epic Lord of the Rings moments. So the big sweeping landscapes, some of the rocky rolling hills that you see in that, along with a handful of other locations. And then from there, we will be traveling a globally speaking short distance to Japan. Going to be hitting up all of the fun touristy things there. And also getting to see some cool historical locations, because I can't travel to a new place without checking out at least one museum. And I'm a big fan of feudal Japanese history. That was a really dope era as far as history goes. So that would be my nuclear option blowout, money is no option thing. Is definitely staying a couple of weeks in New Zealand to check out all the cool places, and then going to Japan to just really soak in all of the Japanese culture in regards to how they live day to day, and then obviously seeing all the fun nerdy things like all the anime museums and things like that. Get to go see Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, get to see the Gundam. Get to see the Dragon Ball Z musical.
If you're lucky, Godzilla will show up.
Yeah, Godzilla. Yeah.
All right, Bones, nuclear option.
Man, I think Travis is thinking too small, though. I got unlimited money, unlimited time. I'm not just going to New Zealand and Japan. I'm taking a trip around the world. I'm stopping everywhere.
Fair.
I'm eating everything. I'm going to France. I'm going to Italy. I'm gonna go to China. I love China. I'm going to Japan. I'm going to Korea. I'm going everywhere. And there's like so much cool stuff to see around the
that
world.
Foodie
Globally,
Nerdverse.
yeah. Around the world in 40 days.
No, I think that's a fantastic. I mean, and let's face it, foodies are a whole fandom unto themselves, and so I think that's definitely a Nerdverse nuclear option. I think it would be amazing actually to sit and have some iconic cuisine in every country, right? Like I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, I'm super into trying like local cuisine, and I'm not talking about like their fancy like big budget stuff. I like the street food level is like the everyday food is the stuff that gets me on places, man.
Kebabs.
Yeah, I fuck with kebabs.
So for me, it's a little bit weird, right? Because obviously we have unlimited money, unlimited time, and all that kind of just it's nuclear option. And it's a weird line for me to draw on like what is available versus what could I make happen, right? Because a steampunk around the world tour on my own airship would be amazing. But
Ryan's
in the same
renting
vein,
a dirigible.
Yeah, like in full staff, full everything. But I could get something very, very similar with I forget, they're like fandoms at sea cruises. The one for Doctor Who a couple years ago was something like 11 nights, and it's this giant cruise, and you can do all these offshore activities all up and down the coast and all over the world. And it's all one giant cosplay convention on the boat. And so I think one of those where, even if it was an obscene amount of time, we're going to spend a year on this cruise, I think would be amazing.
Cruises would be dope. I've always wanted to go on one just to say I've done it.
I've been on enough boats.
Yeah, Bones
Yeah, the Navy man
ties
over
like
here.
boats.
Travis, off topic, but good to know. USAA, man. Shout out to them if you ever want to sponsor us. But they do great prices for cruises. Like if you've got a bank account with them, I don't know if you got one. They are great for your travel needs. And actually, us as a podcast, we're looking at affiliation with a travel thing at some point. I just haven't started advertising. I do have to set it back up though.
All right,
Eric.
Hit us, Eric. What's your nuclear option, and then roll into those shout outs.
So I would just spend time in Japan. I would just visit everything in Japan and take my time and enjoy it. I think traveling the world would be cool. If you're a foodie, it's a great idea, I think, because then you can do the quick stops and like kind of try everything everywhere as you go. But I've never been to Japan. Huge in anime should be very prevalent, and me and Pikachu would absolutely dress a dog up as Pikachu if I could find one that's remotely similar in size to go around Japan. But yeah, I would do a lot of that and like hang out there for the entire time because my kids would love it too because they love anime, and there's a lot of fashion stuff there. So even my littlest one, who isn't as much into it, could have a great time just like picking up clothes and stuff like that.
I've changed my mind with unlimited budget, unlimited time.
Going to the moon?
Do anything you want. No.
Oh.
The moon's boring.
Yeah,
I'm pulling a heist.
Pulling a heist?
Yeah. That's the
criminal
nuclear option date. Yeah, dude, a heist? Are you kidding me? That would be
so,
the coolest.
like, what
that would
country
be the
would you do it
coolest
in?
date. It doesn't matter.
No, it does because you want if you get caught for some reason, you don't want the penalty to be too severe.
Yeah,
you want to know you can just bribe
I was
some
like,
cops.
You want to say like the
like
penalty
Czech Republic,
would be too
maybe?
severe. No, if you get caught and don't have the money on you to immediately bribe the cops, I feel like you'd just be dead. Like I feel like you just be. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't know what it's like over there in point of fact, but I think a heist would be super cool because you just have an unlimited budget. You can hire a bunch of experts. You can honestly unlimited budget. You could hire somebody to do your theme music for the heist. Like it would be amazing.
All right, so
I would
there's
definitely
our
have theme music everywhere in Japan during that whole time I'm there. If I have unlimited funds, I would have like a new Naruto theme song playing every day, walking behind me.
Dude
so when I walk in somewhere, has me and my family just walk in, and my date like walk into places.
Don't make
it
Bluetooth because I would ruin your date by hijacking your Bluetooth and just constantly putting Careless Whisper on anytime something was happening. Like anime theme would hit, and then like.
Yeah, and he's got to be fast too, because he's got to switch to action music with something cool's going on. And then when you're leaving somewhere, he's got to put the ending theme song on. So there's a lot that goes into this. This is going to be like a highly trained individual.
It's going to be a full-time job.
Years of prep.
Hit us with the shout-outs.
Hit us with the shout-outs.
Bad boy out.
So our podcast is leading the charge on a round table of podcasts. We've got a lot of interest still going on. So it's looking like a March 3rd is going to be a record date. Right now we've got 2 podcasts I brought up last time that are going to be involved in it. I'm going to get at least one more. So that'll be nice. It'll be great to see if anybody's looking at starting their own podcast or needs some support and like moving on, continuing their podcast. We're kind of cover some basic stuff with that and grow the community as a whole. Cause I'm hoping that as podcasts do this, we all kind of stay in touch with each other and support each other and continue to grow. And, still waiting on anything from that tabletop game. So we can take a look at that. That hasn't popped up yet. And then, I think there was one other thing. We're looking at trying to do something with the website. Try to make it more, because everyone looks at it, but no one goes back to it. So obviously I'm doing something wrong in regards to that. I think that's about it. Like with big upcoming things is we're definitely out there in the universe for people to find. And if anybody needs support and things like that, just hit us up.
For sure.
And on the subject of support, at the end of this episode, as I always do, can everybody please take your time to support your favorite podcast, hopefully it's us, by doing all that fun algorithm stuff. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it, leave us on mute in the background while you're painting your miniatures, whatever you need to do. But your viewership, your attendance is really why we do this, and it's how we get to keep doing this. And it's how we get to do fun things like have the Rebel Claws team come back for future episodes, potentially. Exactly. And so...
Ooh. And yes, that's going to be coming up towards the end of the month. I don't know when we'll release it, but too legit to crit.
Yeah, too legit to crit.
The Nerdverse.
So that is a shout out. I keep forgetting that one. I don't know why. But yes, that is one to look forward to.
But yeah, guys, give us a like, give us a follow. That's how we keep doing things. And more importantly, we want your feedback. I cannot stress this point enough. I want to know what you thought about the episode. If you have any opinions on what's going on, if you're tired of Eric bringing up Dragon Ball Z and Pikachu, let us know about it in the comments. Hit us up on Facebook.
And my cool meme that was Ash eating Pikachu turning into Super Saiyan Goku.
Which actually was pretty solid. I thought that was a good one. But with that, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Bones, thanks for joining us this week. I will be out next week, but don't worry, Clark will be back. And I'm sure she'll have a lot of fun topics. I believe next week, I should say, is... Oh, what were we doing on that one? Was that the...
What was next week?
What? No, you guys always call it some weird thing about like who we have the hots for in anime or something.
Oh, that's right.
Waifus or something?
Waifu.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Is going to be...
I don't know if we're actually going to do that, but it's definitely being talked about.
You could definitely get Clark to talk about her long list. I'm sure she's got several pages prepared to tell you about why everyone that's on there has made it. But I digress. We have been crossing the Nerdverse. This is our
word.
Month of love here in February, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.